Hi. Hi. So while we're waiting for people to join, I'm just gonna play.
So you've got your own
Play
business.
music. Hi. Hello, Shola. Hello, Vicky. Hi, Funke. Hi. Welcome, everyone. Hi. Hi. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. I have an amazing guest for you guys today. Goodness. I have an amazing guest. She's already here. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to go straight to it and I'm going to invite her. But before I invite her, let me read her bio. 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 All right, so I'm inviting Vicky. Vicky is an intuitive writing coach, publisher, and 10 times best-selling author. As a result of working with her, her clients have become best-selling authors who are able to leverage their stories, grow their following, create more impact, and turn their readers into clients while they sleep. Her 110 best-selling clients span 4 continents, 14 countries, and 22 states. Vicky has been seen on entrepreneur.com, HuffPost, TEDx, alongside Lisa Nichols, T. Have Ika, and some other people. She has spoken at Detroit Startup Week, American Business Women Association, Michigan International Women Expo, Snap Fitness, Real Estate One, and she has been the past vice president on the board of National Entrepreneurs Association and a former top sales producer at Edward Jones Investments. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Vicky. So let me try and add her in now. Put your hands together. Oh, she can't join. It's saying she has. When did Instagram start this one? She's saying she has to upgrade her app. So, what do we do now? Vicky, I'm reading your email. What do we do? All right, so Vicky, oh, this is sad. So Vicky can't join us. Maybe she's trying to update her app. But anyway, while she tries to do that, let me send her a message. So while she tries to do that, let's have a conversation. Just while we're waiting for her, you can just ask me any question that you have. Okay, she's back. All right, so let's go.
Hi.
Oh, Vicky, I'm so happy to see you here. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me. Sorry about that app update. Didn't even think about that.
All right, so we have already done I've already introduced you. Your profile is it's so amazing. It's so great to see what you've done and the number of lives that you've impacted. But the first question I'm going to ask you today, Vicky, is tell us about how you became a coach. Tell us.
How I became a coach or how I became a writing coach?
Okay, let's do writing coach.
Okay, so I was at the time a storytelling and marketing coach because my first love is really marketing. I love everything marketing. I thought at one time I was going to have an advertising agency and stuff like that. Well, I ended up writing a couple books prior to that, and people started asking me, so can you help me to write mine? And I kept telling them no. I kept saying, no, that's not what I do. I help people with marketing and I help them with storytelling. And then one of my friends, I just kept saying, these people just keep asking me to help them with their books. And he says, okay, so how is your story in your book? And I said, yeah. And he goes, is your book a marketing piece? And I said, yeah. And he goes, so how is that not what you're doing with storytelling and marketing? And I went, oh, that's good. And then after that, I started saying yes. So it's funny because when people ask me that, I kind of talk about it in terms of like, it found me. I didn't set out to be a book coach, a writing coach, or anything like that. It just kind of found me. So yeah, that's how I got started.
I really like that response you gave, because that's really that actually happens to a lot of us. Coaching finds us. Our work finds us. We are busy. We are busy going this direction, and then we get a call.
Absolutely.
Like, hey.
Yeah.
And at first, it's difficult to answer the call. It's difficult to say, okay, I'm gonna do this, because there's so many thoughts that go through your mind. Now, let me even ask you that question. Now, before you agreed to become a writing coach, what was going through your mind? What were the things that made you to hesitate?
Oh yeah, I was like, I don't help other people with this. I don't know how to do this. I'm not an English major. Like, I'm just an amateur. Like, you don't want me. Go ask somebody else.
All right. Now, can I ask, when the first client that you had, when you finally said, okay, let me try this out and see how it works, how did you price that client?
Well, the first client that I had, she was from Singapore, ironically, and I priced her package at $4,500, and it was private one-on-one coaching, and I gave her 2 press releases, and I stuffed that thing full because I felt like, oh, this just isn't enough. So let me give her this, and let me also give her this, and let me also give her this, and let me also give her this. And you know what? You know what happened was, because I felt inadequate, she treated me kind of like I was her assistant versus her coach. I don't know if anybody else here has ever done that before, but we train our clients how to treat us, just like we train like other people, our friends, our family, and coworkers, how to treat us. And when you go in and you have this energy of like, I'm not really confident, or maybe I'm not giving you enough, or yeah, let me do everything I can to please you, because I was like big people pleaser. Who else is a people? Like, I wanted her to like me. I wanted her to say nice things about me. I wanted her to have a great experience, but I was so scared because I hadn't done it for anybody else. I'm like, oh man, what if it doesn't work? And what if I don't get her the results? And what if it doesn't turn out the same way that it worked for me? What if I can't duplicate my success? And so I just kept giving her the stuff and more stuff and more stuff. And I remember this one day we showed up on this coaching call and we're sharing a Google Doc. And she's like, can you type that in? And that was the day that I realized that I had become her assistant.
Oh God. But how did you make the switch?
Oh, I wouldn't say I made the switch right away, because like getting rid of your inner people pleaser is a journey. It wasn't like I just turned it off, but every time something like that happened, it caused me to like have this flag come up in my head, right? And I'm like, okay, Vicky, this is not how you want to be treated. This is not how. And then, you eventually realize that you have to start with the messaging in your social media, not like when they start the program. It has to start way back there. in terms of what you're saying to people and what you're allowing into your space, right? Because if you act a certain way on social media and they can tell that you're that people pleaser, and then they sign up and all of a sudden you turn into this like, no, you're not going to treat me that way. They're going to go, well, what just happened? And they're going to keep pushing your buttons and pushing your buttons. Now I have these amazing clients that like, I'm so excited to show up for them. I'm so excited to get on the group calls, because those other ones are the ones that you drag into the program, and then you got to drag them through the program. Then you drag them out of the program, you know? And now I get to wake up to these calls that I look forward to, instead of counting down how many days are left and how many more things do I need to deliver before it's over, right? And, you know, I'm sure we've all had those clients, you know, you can't avoid them 100%, but like, I absolutely adore all of my clients right now. And it wasn't that I didn't adore her. It wasn't that I didn't like her. I had just created an environment where she was allowed to push me around. She was allowed to ask for more, and I would say yes. Sure, you can have that. Sure, you know, because I'm insecure. Well, let me do that for you too. Well, that's not the way it is anymore.
Fantastic. So let's talk about now. Vicky, your profile is amazing. Like,
Oh,
let me read, if you came in late, let me read out Vicky's profile for you again. Her 110 best-selling clients. So it's not just that they've written a book that nobody read. Best-selling clients spans 4 continents, 14 countries, and 22 states.
Yes.
Vicky,
yeah,
that's amazing. So first things first. First things first. So from what we've heard, you moved from this coach who wasn't sure that she could replicate her success, who, first of all, people were coming to you to say, oh, how did you do it? How did you do it? Can you help me? And you were not sure if you could help. Mm-hmm. And then you now decided to help people. But then you were not, you had an inner people that you had to overcome to getting to a point where you now love your clients and you are attracting more and more and more of the right people who come to you to say, hey, I want to write a best-selling book. Tell us more about how you're able to attract the right clients for you.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's truly about the energy that you put out is the energy that you get back. You know, who you are being and who you're showing up to is what's going to attract and resonate with other people. So I had to be more bold in what I had to say. I had to be more bold about my standards and my boundaries. And again, not in a mean way or anything like that, but just allowing people to see that this is the type of character, this is what I stand for, and this is how we move through a program together. And like, everybody's on board. Everybody loves our calls. You know, I've got clients that are like, oh my gosh, you're a genius. And it just feels so great to be able to impact them in a way that feels so easy, right? Because before it felt like chasing clients. It felt like a push and a pull. And like I said, dragging them through the program, like kicking and screaming. And they were resistant and things like that, right? And I don't have anybody now who's resistant. They joined the program because they like how I do things. They like how I am pretty straight to the point, as you can tell. I'm very truthful. I'm honest about where I've been. I'm honest about my flub ups. I'm honest about my past failures and what I've learned. And they also know that I hold them to a high standard and I have expectations. Here are the group calls. Here are the times. You don't get a reminder about some of these things. There are deadlines on certain things. There are things that expire, like there's bonuses that expire after 6 months. I'm not chasing you down. I'm not your babysitter. Yes, I'm going to hold you through the process and I'm going to hold you accountable. But if you don't hit your 6 months to get your bonus, that's your responsibility. I have too many people in the program to have a countdown list of this person is expiring at this date. Make sure you reach out and remind them. So I've set these expectations where they come in acting like grown people. rather than, you know, the ones that I have to baby or, you know, hold their hands or check in with them all the time. You know, it's not that I don't check in with people when I feel called and led to do that. But for the most part, you know, my clients are very responsible. And that's because I set that expectation.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about writing a book.
Sure.
What do you find are the major mistakes that a lot of people make when they're trying to write their book?
They try too hard.
What does that mean?
It means that for some reason, as a whole, I think we all think that something isn't going to be great or worthy or enough unless it was hard, a big struggle. It took a long time. Like we put our blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. I just had this client and she wrote her book in 3 weekends. Launched it to bestseller. She was one of the fastest bestsellers I have. She got to bestseller in 6 hours. She's 3 hours behind me in time difference, you know? And so I'm messaging her. She's like, I'm not even out of bed yet. I'm like, you've already hit bestseller. And she's like, what? And she sat in her bed until lunchtime, like writing people who are writing her back. So 3 weekends, she wrote this amazing book. People are saying all these great comments about, oh my gosh, I couldn't put the book down. You've really changed me. I'm using your checklist for, you know, whatever. She has a checklist in there. And she was like, oh my gosh, I never thought it could be this easy. The way you taught us, it was almost like a fill in the blank, but totally personalized. Like everybody could make their own thing out of it. And she's like, what a wonderful story. Now I get to tell everybody that this amazing book that I wrote that's touching so many people, and they're telling her, I can't put the book down, was written in 3 weekends. They're all like, oh, so much more impressed. And I'm not saying that you do it because you want to impress people, but they're so much more impressed with the ease and flow that worked for her versus the, oh, it took me 10 years to write this sucker. And people going, oh yeah, I've been writing mine for 3 years, and they all commiserate about how long and hard, and they just can't finish, and they can't find the time, and blah, 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 and this and that. Like, that's the standard story. I'm about creating uncommon stories of people divinely downloading their content, being inspired to write, and knowing exactly what to put in their book, doing it quickly, and then having the confidence that because that content was divinely given to them, that they're just so confident that it's going to get the ROI that they want, and they're so confident that it's going to help people. Because that's the other thing. People go, oh, but I don't know if I'm going to make a profit. I don't know if it's going to be worth it. I don't know if it's going to be an impact. Maybe nobody wants to read it. Well, that all comes from our human ego. But when we allow the book to be basically downloaded and given to us, because if you're listening and you have a heart tug to write a book, know that that's not given to everybody. You're special, right? And so when you use that guidance, the divine guidance, to write and put the content in there, then you know without a shadow of a doubt that it's going to do the work it's intended to do. It's going to get you the ROI. People are going to be impacted with it, and you're going to be able to help a lot of lives. Like, there's no question when you're done. The question gets erased. It just kind of goes poof, because you know how connected you are with that content.
Interesting. Yeah. So, you know, I think that what you just shared is very insightful, because, you know, I find that all of us glorify the struggle. We glorify the hustle. Like, we believe that things have to be hard. And so even when you present an easier way, like a simpler way, it's just, it can't be good. It can't be. It can't be. And so we start doubting how easy it is.
Yeah, or you think you're doing it wrong. Because that's what my client has, same client. She said, it's so easy. Am I doing something wrong? No, but you know what? Life should be easy. It should be enjoyable. The things that we do in our business should bring us joy, should make us happy, right? And the things that we're called and led to do, it becomes, you know, so aligned with who you are and what you want to be known for. And it just resonates with you. And then it'll resonate with the people that it's supposed to help. It's not supposed to resonate with everybody. And I think that's another thing that people think, oh, if everybody doesn't like it, or if I get a bad comment, or if I get a bad review, like the end of the world has come and my book is just trash. Well, my very first book had a horrible review. I had no idea there was such a thing as a troll, but maybe if I had, maybe I would have been like, oh, that's a troll. I might have been able to identify, but at the time I didn't know. So I had all these great reviews. People were telling me, oh my gosh, your book is so great. It was exactly what I needed. And this one review said, this sounds like the rambling of somebody who couldn't put her thoughts together. And I'm like, oh, you know, and I almost let that end the whole thing. Had I let that end everything, there would be 110 fewer best-selling stories and books out there right now. And we do that, right? We let one person, one bad apple, spoil the bunch.
True. And you've gone on to publish 9 more books.
Yes. So I have 10 total. Yep.
10 total. So the first one, and then there was a troll. You didn't allow the troll to stop you, and you went on to publish 9 more books.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, what was your motive? Why do you keep writing books?
Why do I keep writing? I keep coming up with ideas, man. I knew when I was young that I was going to write a book. So, you know, growing up Asian, education is really important. My mom was like, if you're not reading or learning something, you're wasting time. And it's not that I didn't get to play outside. I just wasn't supposed to play outside that long. And so my outlet was reading books, because it was kind of the in-between. If I read fiction, I felt like I was having fun. She thought maybe I was learning something, even though she called them junk books. But I read so much, I would go and get 10 books out of the library every week. And I'd read all 10 the following week. And then I'd go back and get 10 more, because that's what I was doing with my time outside of school and playing the piano. It was reading books. And so I eventually read the whole entire library in elementary school, and there were no more books in the children's section for me because I had read them all. And I knew one day I was going to write a book, and I thought it was going to be a fiction book. And I ended up obviously writing nonfiction, and now I have 10 nonfiction books, and I still have more ideas in my head. I have one for this year, and initially it was just going to be a book that was for my kids. But then when a friend of mine heard about what I wanted to do next, she's like, I know I'm not your kid, but can I read that book too? And then a couple other people said the same thing. I said, I guess this one's for the public as well. And I just keep getting the ideas and the nudges. Like I said, you know, those nudges that we have in the heart pull to write a book, not everybody gets them. So I consider it a gift that's what I'm being called to do. And I want to get those books out, because that's just part of my purpose and part of my calling here. All
right. So I like what you just said, that I have a book within me and I want to get it out. All right. So when you, how do I ask this question? So when you get it out, it's one thing to write the book. It's another thing for the book to really, really go out. Okay, so how do you get the book out? When you write the book, is that it? Oh, I still want book 5. My project's done. Let's move on to the next.
I wish. I really wish, because that's what I thought. I thought that first book, again, the one that I made all the mistakes on, I thought that if it just existed on Amazon, that it was going to sell. That because it was a topic that people needed to hear about, that they were just inevitably going to find it. I had no idea how anything worked. Sad to say, that's not how it worked. And I was sitting on my, reports on Amazon going, no sales. Next day, click. Oh, no sales. Next day, click. No sales. What's going on? And that is when I started putting together more of a process. And I relaunched that book eventually to bestseller using the process, thinking about, okay, what do people need to know as I'm launching it? So I call it a buzz like Hollywood. So a lot of people write their book in a vacuum. They're like scared to tell people that they're writing this book because, well, what if nobody wants it? What if somebody says something negative? What if they don't like my story? What if I don't sell any? What if I don't hit my deadlines? Like all these what ifs come up, right? And, you know, people really don't care as much as we think they care. But when you look at Hollywood, like Wonder Woman, I love Wonder Woman. I knew that the next Wonder Woman was coming out on June 5th. Unfortunately, that's not how it worked with Corona. But then once they moved it, I knew it was coming out December 25th. And that's what happens like with your book. You need to ramp up. You need to tell people that this is coming. You create that buzz like Hollywood. Even if you change that date, people are still moving on that date with you, right? But you have to create that posse of people who are sold out already about your book, so that when it actually hits Amazon, that you get the sales, because it's not just going to happen by magic. You have to have a plan. And part of that plan, and I know some people are like, oh, but all I can think about is just doing the book. The book isn't really the project. The book is a piece of a larger project in your business, right? So you can't write the book and then go, okay, now I'm done. Now what? You got to ask that now what question before you write it, so you can reverse engineer answering that now what question, so that you've written the right book for your business, so it's going to do the right thing for your business, so that once it's out, it's automatically already selling. And then having a consistent strategy, what I call the consistent client cash machine, consistent strategy for getting clients from that book once it's out there. Because, you know, I get it. It feels like a huge mountain to just write the book. So some people don't want to think about the next thing, or maybe it feels like it's too much to think about the next thing. But it's a huge mistake if you don't ask yourself the question in the beginning.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we've gotten a few questions. I would like us to just start addressing. I have more questions for you, but let's answer some questions first.
Yeah.
So the first one is from Tomi Balogun. She says, just curious, what is the definition of a bestseller status?
Oh, I love this question. Okay. So there's bestseller on Amazon, there's bestseller on USA Today, Wall Street Journal, and there's bestseller on New York Times. So we'll go through all of it. So Amazon calculates bestsellers, like regardless if it's a book or if it's a kitchen utensil or whatever, they have bestsellers on their platform that they calculate every hour. At least they say it's every hour. I think they lie, but you know, I can't prove that. I don't think it's every hour, because we see sales coming in and then it's like on launch day, you're like, return, return, return. You don't see anything. And it's like 2 hours later, all of a sudden the number jumps. But technically it's being calculated every hour, and you're getting compared to other people in your category. So if you think about school districts, think of them as categories, right? So you're in a certain school district, and that school district has 500 in their graduating class. So to be valedictorian, you have to have like a 4.375, let's say. And you have all this competition, and it's pushing that number up. In another school district, maybe you live in the country and you're graduating with 30 people in your graduating class, and you only need 3.8 to be the valedictorian. So it depends on who you're being compared against. So let's say you're in personal development and Tony Robbins puts out a book on the same day. Well, kind of sucks to be you if you're in the same category, right? So it's based on who are you compared to in which category. And for Amazon, it's the top 100. A lot of people make the mistakes that bestseller is only the top spot, number one. It's not. Now, my people get to number one, but it's really anything ranked 100 and better. So think of school districts again. In that 500, anybody ranking in that top 500, right, the 100 or better, that is a best-selling author, okay? So that's Amazon's calculated every day, hour by hour. USA Today and Wall Street Journal is calculated using Nielsen book scan ranking, and they do that by ISBN, which is like the little barcode on your book that has a number associated with it. So that's why it's good to buy your own ISBN and not like use all the free ones, because now you've got your book has multiple numbers and you can't track it. So if you're going after USA Today, Wall Street Journal, you want to have an ISBN that is yours, that is universal for all of the different platforms. And so with them, they rank things Monday through Monday, and then they calculate how many have been sold of the ISBNs. And USA Today ranks the top 150, and Wall Street Journal ranks the top 10. It's really the same list, right? Because they're using the same ranking system. And then New York Times is a little more subjective. They got in trouble years back because they have kind of like, I don't know if this is like some official thing, like term or anything, but they have like this board of like people, you know, who scope out which books are on their radar. And then those are the potential books that might hit New York Times. It used to be you could buy 100,000 print copies of your book and buy yourself New York Times, but that's not true anymore. You can't do that. And sometimes the numbers aren't that high. You've seen maybe some New York Times needs 75,000 sales, but I have a past coach, not as like a book coach or anything, but she has a New York Times bestseller out. And what she did was she sold to 5 institutions or something like that, sold them 3,000 copies each, sold 15,000 copies, and she became a best-selling author. Actually, I think it was more like 17 in total, but anyways, it wasn't a huge number in terms of what I've heard other New York Times bestsellers had to hit. And it's interesting because people feel that New York Times is so coveted, I think because it's a mystery, in essence, how you get there, because it's not just how many books you sold, it's also these people who are looking at the books, and we don't know who those people are, and who knows how often they change, and how you get on their radar or anything like that. And they're willing to count bulk orders. USA Today, Wall Street Journal, I don't know if they do or not, but I know for a fact that with Amazon, if your mom wants to buy 200 copies and your best friend's going to buy 200 copies and whatever, it's not counted 200 and then another 200 for 400 total. It's 1 and 1. So in some ways, I feel like the algorithm is more fair doing it that way versus the other, where an institution or a company can buy a bulk order and all of that gets counted. So that's a little more vague with New York Times, but that's how all the different bestsellers are calculated.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But what were you, thank you for sharing this in-depth explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what would you say is the value of having a best-selling book? Because I've heard a lot of people talk about how Amazon bestselling, like being an Amazon bestseller, is a waste of time. That people shouldn't bother with it. That it doesn't. There's no impact. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a waste of time if you're not going to use it. That's for sure. And I think that's probably why some people say that. Is number one, they think that it may be easy if you know the algorithm to get to bestseller, so then they discount it. Or they think, I know best-selling authors who don't even sell their book anymore, so what's the point? So the value in becoming a bestseller is multiple things. One is you get the boost in credibility, right? When people see best-selling author, they regard that sometimes higher than somebody who's a doctor. So that's one thing. I think the other thing are things that like you can't necessarily put, it's not always tangible, right? The increase in confidence that you have, the way that you show up differently. If you own that bestseller inside of you and you show up differently, that's a whole nother thing. One of my clients, she hit bestseller and she was just on fire, man. She was just like, her business, she got really bold. Like you just have the confidence to say certain things, right? You're like, Dad, don't mess with me. I'm a best-selling author. Well, her 2 daughters saw that difference in her. One was, I think, elementary. The other one's in middle school. I think they're all like older now. But she said to me, you know what? The trickle down effect was something I never thought was going to happen. But now my kids look at me differently. Not because she's a best-selling author necessarily, but because she's showing up differently. Her confidence is different. The way she's acting as a mom is different. And her girls are now going, well, you know what? Girls can do anything. And I can do this. And I want to be an entrepreneur too. And I want to be like you, Mom. And I'm like, that's the price list, the MasterCard price list thing, right? You can't just buy that. And I don't think people realize it. But if you don't plan on doing anything with your book afterwards, and you're going to swirl around in the now what, I don't know what next, whatever, then yeah, it's going to be a waste of time. But if you know that you're going to use it, see, everything in life, right, is a choice. We get to decide. Are we going to be successful in this? Are we not going to be successful? Are we going to give up? Are we going to keep going? And when you decide that this book is going to be an important asset in your business and that you're going to use it to grow and make impact and help more people, reach more people, and that this is a legacy piece for you, then that's what you use it as, right? If you decide that. But if you go into it and you're kind of like, well, it's a nice to have, and I think it would do well, and I'm hoping that it's going to boost my credibility, and you're kind of wishy-washy, and you're thinking that this thing is going to grow arms and legs and go get you TV interviews and media features and stuff like that, then you're going to be disappointed. It's like I said, the book is a piece of a bigger strategy. It's not the whole project, and you get to decide what the outcome of that project is. The book doesn't dictate that. The bestseller title doesn't dictate that. And I think that's why, like I said, some people do have the bestseller title and they don't do anything with it. So yeah, it was a waste of time.
And I really love your response, because it's just the truth, and you're just down to earth. Like, it's the truth, and it's the truth. It all starts with your intention. Why are you deciding to write the book in the first place?
Yep.
And so if you feel like the bestseller title is not a big deal, you will never value it, and so you will never use it.
Right.
So when I was writing, I have a book that's actually a best-selling book too, and one of the things that I when I was writing the book, there was when you come on Instagram, so many people with so many of their ideas. So I read the thread of, Amazon bestselling is a nonsense. But I was like, you know what? If I'm going to write a book, I'm going to give it, like, I've decided to write this book. And so I'm going to give it the best. I'm not going to do half work. So I really promoted it, and it became an Amazon bestselling book. And let me tell you what has happened to me since then. Now, this title is a title I have for life. Best-selling author, period.
That's right. That's right.
It's a title I have for life. It's on my LinkedIn. It's on my profile. Anywhere I go, it's there.
Yes.
And and there are places that my profile gets to that I cannot get to. There are rooms where I'm being discussed that I cannot be there. But when they read my profile, it's there.
Yes.
Best-selling author. And you may not realize this, but it takes a lot to write a book. It means that you are actually an expert. So instead of saying, "Oh, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? I'm an expert. Oh, ha! I'm good. I'm good." Instead of saying that, the title says all that for you. Right. That you are an expert in this particular topic, and that opened doors. And I can't tell you how many people have read my book, and because they read the book, they invited me on their podcast. Because they read the book, they found it on Amazon. Because they read the book, they signed up for my one-on-one coaching, for my online course, and I didn't have to convince them about whether I'm good or I'm not good. They're like, "Look, Stephanie, I've read your book. It's okay. I know who you are." So in a lot of ways, the book is like it's how I put it. It's like I like what you said, like a cash machine that is really bringing you leads for your bigger business. So it's a small part of a bigger thing.
Yes.
And one of the things I also find is it depends on the vision you have for your business. It depends on the vision you have for your brand. If you see yourself as a premium coach who is going to do big things, so the way you position yourself is just, it's just different. If you want to write a book, write a good book, and then give it promote it well. Because all those things, there are layers that we are adding to establish ourselves as experts.
Well, I love that you said that, because there's a certain level of expectation associated with best-selling author, right? A confused buyer doesn't buy. So in your branding and how you show up, if you want to attract high-ticket clients, it has to be all connected. It has to be in line. It has to make sense to the person, right? So when I tell my clients, sometimes I'm like, guys, you realize when you become a best-selling author, you need to go out and increase your price, double, triple, quadruple, whatever it is, because there's a level of expectation with that, right? So you're a best-selling author, and you know, somebody who's coming to you to solve a $50,000 problem is not looking for your $97 e-course. Like, that's not what they're looking for. Looking for somebody with that expertise that has that high ticket like program that matches the level of results that that person is looking for. So although sometimes they feel scared when I tell my clients, yo, you're gonna have to double your prices, I explain it to them like, guys, you have to look, it has to be cohesive all together, right? And so like minimally 3,000. I would rather 5 or even 10 and beyond, because that is the expectation that you're setting, or else they're going to think, oh, best-selling author, well, maybe they were just a one-hit wonder and they're all washed up, right? Yeah.
Food for thought. Food for thought. And I think that I really love that you said that, because many times when coaches underprice themselves or sell low price, create low price offers, what they don't realize is that people's perception of you, when you're low price, you think that you're doing it because you want to help people. You know, you want to be affordable so that it can help a lot of people. But the truth is, what ends up happening is that your real dream clients that you really want to work with, they're afraid of working with you. They're like, why is she this price? Why is it this price? It can't be good. You know,
it's too
like
good to be true.
Or like you said, she's a one-hit wonder. I'm not sure that she'll know what she's saying. So let me know if you will go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Great. Marilyn says, but is there anything wrong with writing a book for too long because you want to get some experiential knowledge so that it can become more valuable?
Okay, this is a little pet peeve of mine. Sorry, not sorry, little pet peeve of mine. We are going to have more experiences every day that we live. The only time that we could possibly write a book that encompasses all these experiences and everything that we're going to learn and grow into is knowing the second that we're going to die. And we don't know that, right? I had a client, a prospect got on the phone and say, I'm going to write my book next year because I'll have a year more of experiences to put in that book. Well, you can just write another book.
Okay.
Write what you know now, because what you know now is enough. This question, I think, and I don't know the person, so I'm making guesses here, but when my community says things like this, or when prospects say things like this, it comes usually from a place of lack. I don't know enough. What I have now, somebody's not going to want. I need to wait until XYZ so that then, you know, I need to wait till I'm more famous. I need to wait till I have more clients. I need to wait till I hit the next 6 figures. I need to wait until blah, 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 and then it will be valuable. The thing is, every single person watching this and all the people who aren't watching this are valuable enough with the knowledge that you have in your head right now, with the journey and the story that you have right now, to help people. You only need to be a step ahead of somebody who's asking for help, right? You don't even need to be 10 steps ahead. And sometimes I think that makes people scared that, oh, well, I'm not way far ahead of them. But it doesn't matter. And you have everything that you need inside in terms of story and expertise to write a book right now. It doesn't have to be War and Peace. It doesn't have to be 5,000 pages long. In fact, when I first started, I really promoted short read books. Those are books that can be read within 2 to 4 hours, like in one day, one sitting, because we're a society that has a really short attention span. And if I want a solution to my problem, I want that right now. If I find that a book is too long, I pick it up, I set it down. I pick it up, I set it down. I pick it up, I set it down. If I see a book where it's like, oh, I could get through all of this in a day, I'm going to read the whole entire thing rather than waiting for vacation time or whatever to read the book. And I'm going to get my solution right away. And if you want somebody to consume the book, then do it in a way that they're excited and eager, right? Talk to them about the results they're going to get when they're done with the book. So you have enough. Whoever's listening, whoever asked the question, but everybody else, so you have enough right now. You don't have to try to say, oh, let me stuff it with more and let me make it more valuable. In fact, if you write too much, it becomes overwhelming. And then, you know, a confused buyer doesn't buy either. So if you put too much in the book and it becomes overwhelming and difficult and hard, people will say, well, I don't want to coach with you. I don't want a product or service from you, because that is only going to be 20 times harder than a book. Because a book should be easy and simple when they're reading it, right? It shouldn't be that. And if I'm going to get on a whole course or a 6-month program, it's going to be even more overwhelming to me. So you want to give them an easy win, something that feels like they have the possibility and the opportunity to do something different with their life or transform or solve a problem, so that they can easily take that next step with you. I think too often we try to stuff everything that we know in our head into the book, and that's too much, way too much. People can't handle that, right? I can't even remember my grocery list without writing it down, you know? Sometimes I'm like, oh, one item, I can remember that. And then I get into the store and there's a sale on cookies and I totally forgot what I was buying, you know? So, yeah.
All right, fantastic. I think that you really like answered a lot of questions that people have. And guys, if you have any last question, please drop it in the comment section. I'm just going to do a quick recap of many of some of the things that you shared. So the first major thing that I heard today was that the one mistake a lot of people make is that they think that it has to be too hard. They think that it has to be too hard. In fact, if it's too simple, they're like, oh no, I can't be getting this right. You know, and many times the reason is because many of us have gotten too comfortable with hard things. If something is not hard, it can be good. All right. So, so first things first is that your course doesn't have to be hard. So your book, like my course is always in my mouth. I talk about having to launch online courses. So it's always in my mouth. All right. Your book doesn't have to be too difficult to create. The second thing we talked about was, do you really need to have a bestseller status? What is bestseller status and how will it help you? Do you really need it? All right. And what does it do for people, for brands? And we talked about how when you have a bestseller status, it makes you to be more confident and it helps you to attract high paying clients. All right. The third thing we talked about is things like the excuse of, oh, is it time for me to write my book? Don't I have to wait until I'm more experienced, until I have more expertise, until I know more? Is it okay for me to write my book now? And, you know, Vicky just gave us something that, you know, blew our minds, that, you know what, you can write another book. You don't have to write only one book in your lifetime. Because, you know, when I look at my office, we have a big shelf of books here. And I took books from one author. So year one, they wrote a book. Year two, they wrote another book. Year three, they wrote another book. You know, and that's because your knowledge is progressive. So when you finish writing one, there's always another idea. And she said another thing about, if you have a book in you, embrace it, because not everybody has that urge to write books. Not everybody has that urge to be a thought leader. Not everybody has that urge to impact other people. So your book idea is a gift. Vicky, this has been so amazing. I have 2 questions for you before we wrap this up. Number 3, last question for anybody who is still on the fence about whether they should write their book or not. Can you share with them how they can leverage a book that they write? If they write a book, what can they do with it? Please share with them.
Oh my gosh, so much. So it's not just a book to say that you wrote a book. That goes back to the make sure you reverse engineer why you're writing it, right? But that book becomes the front end of a funnel for that consistent client cash machine. This is how you get appointments, like people who want to set up sales calls with you, not just chit chats with you, but sales calls to get in your programs. That's how you get those while you sleep. That's how you get people saying, you know what? I don't even need to jump on a sales call. My people, they're like, you know what, Vicki, I don't need to talk to you. Just take my money. And I no sales call, and they're in my program, $15,000 paid in full. If that's what you want, then you need to write a book, because that's what makes it easy, right? The book also helps you get speaking gigs, helps you get on stages. One of my clients, she sold her book in bulk to somebody who wanted to have her in Alaska. So not only did they fly her out, pay her to speak, because best-selling authors get paid well to speak, but then they bought in bulk her book. So she sold it less than retail, but more than wholesale. And so she made more money with that as well. And then you will get asked, like you had said, you know, get asked on podcasts, you get asked on media, get asked to be interviewed. I was just on NBC. It just dropped, last night.
Congrats.
Thank you. And they wanted me because of my books. They also, I noticed, interview other people who have books, you know? So there's so many opportunities that open for you when you become a best-selling author, that you just have to know that you want to leverage that, right? Because if you just go, oh, I've got this, let me see, and wait for it to come, it's not just going to come. Yes, some of them might come accidentally, you know, randomly or whatever, but you have to have a strategy of being out there all the time and being on things like, you know, how you found me, right? It's not like we had a huge long conversation, but here we are having a great time. And I'm like, gosh, Steph, you could be one of my friends, you know, like I would totally love hanging out with you. That would be so much fun if we live close by. And you make all these connections because people have seen your book. They see that you're credible. They see the topic. And then it gets really easy because you don't have to explain. I don't have to explain that I, you know, I'm a book coach, a writing coach, a publisher. Like, I don't have to say all that. It's just, here, you know, here are all my books, and here are the titles and the subtitles, and people just know what it is. So it makes things a lot easier.
Fantastic. All right. So before I take the last question, I wanted to ask, so for anybody here who is wondering, okay, how do I work with you, Vicki? How do I create my book? How do I write my book? I don't know how to start. Like, how can they work with you? How can they reach out to you, basically?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I'm not on Instagram as much as it probably looks like I am. So the best way to get a hold of me, I'm mostly on Facebook. I'm mostly on Facebook. I jump on LinkedIn. That's why, like, sometimes it takes me a while to respond on LinkedIn. Instagram a little bit as well, but now that, like, they're connected to Facebook, it works a little bit better. But Facebook, I am there more than I should be. Yeah, my website is morningoakpublishing.com. So if you want to go to morningoakpublishing.com, you'll find all the information about how to work with me on the services tab. You can apply for a spot in one of my programs, book a time to talk to me, that type of thing. And of course, you know, email's always good. So it's Vickie@VickieGould.com if you want to reach out to me via email.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. One last question that I saw. Sure. What if your book is on a different subject than your offer as a coach?
Ooh, I won't make you wrong for wanting to write it, because I never make people wrong. Like, even if you want to write a vanity book, like, I'm not going to make you wrong for wanting a vanity book. But if you want to connect your book directly to an upsell, it has to flow. So 2 different topics, it's not going to work for your business, but it doesn't make the book wrong. That makes sense?
Yes. I got that. All right. And I don't know if you got it too. So you can have an urge. You can have an urge to write a book on something you're very passionate about. And it's fine. All right. But if your book is something, if you want to write a book strategically to grow your business, it's always great for your book to be on the same topic so that you can upsell. You know, and if you may have heard me talk about this sometimes, that when we create products, we're creating a portfolio. So you know, and there are different levels and they are all connected. So you can have a book, you can have an online course, you can have a coaching program, you can have, what else can you have? A consulting package. You can have so many different types of products, but they should all be connected and each one is building on each one. All right. So thank you, Vicky. It has been really great speaking to you. Vicky also has a Facebook group. If you want to join it, you can just search for Vickie Gould and you will see Vickie Gould coaching and you will see the group. You can join it and get more of her valuable resources. And also if you want to work with her, you can also book a call. All right. So if you don't know who I am and you watch to the end, my name is Stephanie Obi. I help coaches like you to create and sell premium online courses so that you can grow your business. All right. So I'm the online course girl and Vicky is the book expert. All right. So Vicky, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for dispelling the myths, for explaining things, breaking things down. I really, really loved having you here. Like we're just chatting and having such a nice time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I don't know if you can see the comment section. CTF exhibition said such an insightful session, and you've been having a lot of hats. So thank you for sharing, Vicky. Everyone,
thanks for joining us, everybody.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone. Bye.